Welcome to Real Talk Baseball. I am Will Power here with Javi the Commish as always, and today we have a special guest on the show from our fantasy league, Kev Mo, who is actually in first place in our league right now. And we're going to take you down soon, man.
Yeah,
You don't get
I'm.
used to being at the top.
Hey, I'm enjoying it right now, but you guys are coming in hot, so I know I got to
Yeah,
watch my
man.
back. So
I got some injured players that I'm just waiting for them to get healthy, and I'll be right back in it. I remember I was on top for the first 4 weeks of the season, so
I know. Oh, I
I'm
know.
coming
Believe
back.
me, I'm
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 coming
keeping
back.
an eye on all your guys' rosters. I know what's up, so that's why I'm trying to
Yeah,
always
that's
be
right.
making
Hey,
moves.
in all honesty, man, I can tell you know your shit, just like the rest of us do. And
Absolutely,
it's
appreciate it.
it's it's great to have a fantasy baseball league that is very competitive as the one that we
Yes,
have right
Yeah,
now.
hell yeah.
That
I agree. I agree.
last season we had a couple teams that were just not paying attention too well, and I wanted to get those teams kind of out, the guys that don't really like pay attention to the chats and don't really
Yeah,
try to trade too much and don't pick up players and add and drop and add and
yeah,
stuff like that. So I like that everyone in the league this year is very active. It makes for a more fun season. So
absolutely. I agree.
all right, let's
It's a
get into
grind,
fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about Sandy Alcantara and Corbin Burnes. What's going on with Sandy and Corbin? Is small ball the way to go now with the rule changes? Two-star pitchers for next week, and if we have time, we'll possibly talk about Shohei Ohtani and this weekend's Saturday and Sunday streaming pitchers, all coming up on Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. All right, we are here. We are live. Again, this is Will Power, Javi the Commish, and Kevmo. We are first going to go over some news and notes. Wander Franco is a crybaby. I don't know if you guys heard about Wander Franco. He's actually gotten benched for the past 2 games, today and yesterday, for being a bad sport, basically.
Yeah.
Something that you learn in Little League. And apparently this guy didn't get the memo. And honestly, 22 years old, was
Right.
I the most
Typical young
mature
guy
person
shit.
out there? I was not, and I feel like you guys will probably agree with me.
Yep.
You still have that high school mentality where, you think you're the shit, even though Wander Franco is the shit.
He is. Yeah.
Like, you got to be able to put the team ahead of yourself.
Right.
And apparently he hasn't really been doing that lately. So
Right.
unfortunately for fantasy owners, for Wander Franco, he is going to have to move to your bench, Thursday and today. He will be back in the lineup, as long as his attitude stays right by Saturday. This guy has just been on
Fire.
amazing. He's had an amazing season so far.
Crazy. Yeah, he's a
By
stud.
far the best
Dude,
since
he's been healthy.
debut.
That's
Exactly.
True.
He's been
Exactly.
healthy, man.
A
That's true.
healthy
That's
Wander
huge
Franco
thing.
is a dangerous Wander Franco.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Stealing
definitely.
way more than everyone thought he was going to, which is
Yeah.
fantastic for those, guys who have him.
Oh yeah.
It could be, possibly the size of the bases,
True.
that they've changed. That could play a factor into it, but he has a track record of running.
Yeah,
Back in the minors, even though he wasn't in the minors for very long, he got called up very, very young. I could definitely see Wander Franco going forward in the future as like a 2030 guy.
Yep.
Maybe even 2040, and once he gets that man strength years, 26, 27 years old, maybe even increase it to
power.
25, 30 home runs.
Imagine that shit. My God.
Yeah. And who knows, like you said, he's young. So, some players, they adjust as they, he might want to sell out more for power and steal less once those, that man strength happens and stuff.
Yeah.
But he, the sky's the limit with him. He's got all the tools, all of them.
He really looks to me like a younger Ronald Acuna.
Yeah.
And
I can see that.
he's in a great lineup. He has lots of chances to score runs, lots of chances to get RBIs. And the only actually with his on base percentage, I feel like he's a little bit more valuable in points leagues. Well, at least that's what I thought in the beginning of the season, because he gets on base at a very high clip. But now seeing all the stolen bases this year, I don't know. He's actually pretty valuable in categories and roto leagues too.
Right.
All right, moving on. The Minnesota Twins have signed former World Series champion and Cy Young winner, 2015 Cy Young winner, almost a decade ago, Dallas Keuchel. Now, Dallas Keuchel, in his whole MLB career, has been known as a ground ball pitcher. He's never been a high strikeout pitcher. That being said, Kevmo, what do you think about Dallas Keuchel? Do you think that he's actually going to be fantasy relevant in 2023?
I do not. I think it's kind of one of those things to kind of hedge their bets as for the Twins to Maeda's coming back. He's been injury prone. Varland looked awesome, and then right at the tail end, right when Maeda was coming back, he started kind of teetering off too. You got Pablo Lopez with all the injury concerns. I think this is just them to have an arm with some experience in the clubhouse to be able to lean on in case because the Twins are going for it. I have a feeling they're going to be buyers at the deadline. They have a pretty good team. So I think they just want to make sure they have some stuff, something to fall back on if there's some injuries or some hiccups with their pitching. And I wouldn't bet too much on him. Maybe if you're in a really deep league 16 team. Yeah. But I think, anything 12 or less, or, I don't think – keep an eye on him maybe, but I wouldn't go out and try to snag him too soon.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. We've seen him be great in the past, even with the ground ball mentality that he has, the type of game that he has. But I'll kind of save a little bit for a later segment. But as I've talked in previous podcasts before, I just don't think that ground ball pitchers are going to be as dominant in the past that they have been as dominant this season that they have been in the past.
Right.
Let's see. We got Jasper, Tony. Damn, we got a lot of people.
Oh, we got the fellas
right now.
What's up,
Jasper? Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you. Tony's out there.
There we go.
Dang, lots of comments today. I'm loving it.
There we go.
Let's see. Oh, Tony. Ohtani to the Mets. Are you thinking trade or are you thinking 2024 free agent signing?
Right.
Let's hear what you need. Jose Velasquez says Twins need him. I'm assuming you're talking about Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah.
Let's see. Doing worse this year than I did last year. Not sure what the hell, man. It's because you keep on dropping these big time players and making weak trades.
Hey.
You're doing these trades to help you for the future instead of this year. And that's potentially. I think it was Kevmo did a trade with Jasper for.
It was Sandy and Volpe, I believe.
Oh, that's right.
But you know what? I mean, I know we'll get to it, but Sandy's,
both of them have been very underwhelming. This year. In the beginning, Volpe actually looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
He's a high prospect in the Yankees organization, but we'll see how that actually pans out. You never know with prospects. I'm really hoping the best for Ellie De La Cruz. Got me another home run today. Thank you.
Jeez. Guy's on fire, man.
He's good.
Tony says maybe a piece to a bigger deal for Ohtani. I don't know. We'll see. I still have hope, and I still think, along with 54% of MLB players, apparently, that Ohtani is going to the Dodgers. So let's hope, man, because the Dodgers need all the help they can get right now.
Yep.
Let's see, Angels just got Eduardo Escobar. If anyone gives a shit, really? I did not hear about that.
I did not hear about that either. Yeah.
So that means that Brett Beatty is probably going to be starting every single day now.
Yeah, that's a good good move for Beatty. Yeah.
Let's see. Jose Velasquez says Ohtani to the Dodgers, foo. I love that LA foo at the end.
Yeah, that's it.
And Tony says Kevmo, the timeshare salesman.
Hey.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, him and I know. We've been going back and forth. I got you, Tony.
All right. Moving on. So, Javi, I actually didn't ask you. So, what are you thinking about Dallas Keuchel this season?
I agree with both of you. I think I don't want to say he's washed, but I mean I think his time has pretty much come and gone. Um, the Twins do need pitching, simply because of all the injuries and stuff like that. So a veteran arm in the clubhouse might be a good idea. Um, like I said, I wouldn't jump at the moment when he's available or anything like that.
Right.
If anything, maybe you want to look at like matchup based type things. Maybe they won't even have him pitch, deep into the games and stuff like that.
Right.
Pitching's been real weird this year. Players don't really go your
Right.
typical 6-7 innings. Now you'll see people go like 5 innings, if any.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess cool for the Twins, veteran pitcher, but as far as fantasy relevancy, I wouldn't jump on that.
Yeah. Right. He was available for a reason.
Yeah, seriously. So last season, Dallas Keuchel actually ended with a 9.20 ERA. Now that for those
I
that
was gonna
don't
say,
know,
I was gonna
not
say,
good.
like,
not good.
I could have sworn he was in the league in some team last year. I could have sworn,
I can't remember.
and I know it went pretty bad for him.
So he was actually on 3 teams last year.
There you go.
Yeah,
It was
something like
a little bit of the White Sox, a little bit of the Rangers, and I don't believe I don't remember what the other one is. Actually, I have it right here. Arizona.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So he had 8 starts with the White Sox, 4 starts with Arizona, and 2 starts with Texas. And it was not the best for Sir Dallas Keuchel, ending with a 9.20 ERA, a 2.06 WHIP. I don't think I've ever seen a starting pitcher with a
That's
WHIP above
crazy.
2.
Yeah. Yo, does he still have the
That's pretty
beard?
insane.
Does he still
What's
have the
that?
beard? Does he still have the beard?
I think he brought it back
I'm
after.
sure he does. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not on the Yankees. That's the only reason why I would. That
shit
he's
was
got to be in the
trimmed up,
running for
man.
the
It
best
was.
beard contest in
Yeah.
MLB.
He had a straight rectangle.
Yo, that shit was fucking clean,
Clean.
man.
It was clean.
Hey, him
Yeah.
and Brian Wilson.
That's
Yo.
right.
You guys.
That's right.
Crazy.
Let's see. So last season, 60 innings pitched for Dallas Keuchel and 62 earned runs, more than a run per inning. Oh, man, that is terrible.
Not good.
And
Wow.
this is from a guy that in 2015, he pitched 232 innings, had 216 strikeouts. So he's always been that ground ball pitcher that we talked about. But man, last season, I guess because maybe Father Time has just kind of gotten caught up to him.
Yeah, probably.
36 years old, which I'm 40. I know what it feels like to be 36 years old. So I can only imagine what the dude's been going through. But
right.
I honestly I wouldn't touch Dallas Keuchel with a 15-foot pole.
Yeah.
I think
Clown pole.
I think Javi used the right word saying that he's washed. Even though you said you don't think he's washed, I personally think he is. I think that he's probably going to make 5-6 starts for the Twins, and he'll probably get DFA'd. And then I think it's time to not lace up those cleats anymore.
Yeah, call it a career.
Yeah, it is nice that that he is that veteran in the clubhouse, though, because of the experience that this guy's had. World Series, not just getting to the World Series, but being the ace that got them to the World Series, and him reaching out to Verlander, being the veteran that he is, and telling him like, "Look, man, we have the team to do it. We need you." 2017 has some drama around it, which we don't really need to get into because everyone knows about that drama. But pitching really had nothing to do with that, and. Dallas Keuchel that season, he was actually still pretty decent. He was
definitely
still
serviceable.
Relevant. But no longer.
Nope.
All right. Moving on. Alexis Diaz. Javi, what is going on with Alexis Diaz? Edwin Diaz's little brother for the Cincinnati Reds.
Alexis Diaz. Who the fuck is that?
He's a closer. He's a stud. He's a stud. He's
Closer.
looking.
You didn't get my notes?
My take on closers this year is so weird. Man.
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, I mean, personally, right? In my opinion, like closers to me, damn, like they're not as relevant as they used to be. Honestly, man, like teams are going like 3, 4 pitchers,
Yeah.
and they're always like mix and matching their
There's a lot.
closers.
There's a lot of fireman role going on where
Yeah,
the guys who are
man.
the closers
So
are pitching in the
honestly,
seventh. Yeah.
honestly, I didn't get your text on that, or maybe I missed it, but like just closers in general to me are just like so I really don't have a lot of info on the guy.
Yeah.
If you guys are saying,
what it is, honestly, is in a points league, who gives a shit about closers? You know, most of the time, unless you're in a very, very deep league and you have multiple
RP spots. Yeah.
But in a categories league, this guy is third in saves. He's first in the National League in saves. There's only 2 guys ahead of him, and both of them are in the American League. Let's see. He's 26 years old. Last season, if you didn't follow him at all last season, he's basically just carrying on this season what he did in last season.
Yeah.
In 2022, he had 63 innings pitched, 83 strikeouts, with a 1.84 ERA. Now his saves total was very low last year because he had no track record, so he wasn't ready to be put into that closer role. But this year, Cincinnati has nothing to lose. Coming off
first
an
place, bro.
game winning streak, the crazy ass shit going on in Cincinnati right now. He has been like the pitcher to watch in Cincinnati. The lineup is just fucking crazy. Like they have such a good lineup right now. Very Rays-esque. A lot of small ball, and then you got a couple guys that are just pounding the ball and hitting and getting RBIs and getting home runs. But
they remind me of the Astros right before like 2016, like right when they were getting like really hot, because they were just bad for so long, and then so they just stockpiled all those young talent, and then they're all coming up and just teams taking off. They're so fun to watch, dude.
Man. The 3 rookies that they have, it's De La Cruz, McLean,
and Steer. That's another one.
Looks really good, and then they haven't even brought up Strand yet. Joey Votto comes back, hits a home run in his first game back.
Yeah,
he was 0 for 4 the next day. But that's what happens when you're a 38-year-old first baseman that was basically injured all year last year.
And then they got fucking Abbott, right?
Oh, Abbott's
gonna be stud, dude.
Dude.
Bro, I mean, they had
Cincinnati in the future. They're looking really good for the National League Central.
I honestly thought they were going to be maybe, going into the season. I was like, oh, they're going to be sellers. I thought of Diaz as maybe a guy that could be a closer for the Dodgers at some point or someone at the deadline. But now that they're just doing what they're doing, I'm like, they're buyers. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to go out there and try to trade for a starting pitcher. They don't have that veteran starting pitcher that
they get somebody like that. Woo.
Watch out, dude. Watch out. Because like you said, that offense they're rolling, and they're going to continue rolling because they're young guys, dude. They're good. They're fun.
That's the thing that I've noticed with baseball, which I don't really see from the Dodgers anymore. It's actually been since Kike Hernandez left. Kike Hernandez brought the energy. But teams now, you look at the Angels, you look at Shohei Ohtani, and he puts on the samurai helmet when he gets the home run, and they have this celebration. And then, you look at the Padres a couple years ago with the spinner on the necklace, and
Slam
all these
Diego.
teams are coming up with ways to have more fun in the game. A couple years ago, MLB slogan was "Let the kids play."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a couple teams that are just not really adopting that kind of philosophy. You see the Yankees and the Dodgers as kind of like the more reserved team.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that hurts them at all, but I kind of think it might. You know,
Yeah, I think you need some balance. Like
you need some
again,
fun. You need some fun playing the game that you love.
Right.
It's like even when you see like Freddie Freeman will hit like a 3-run bomb in the fourth,
business.
and he's just straight faced like the
Just
whole
business.
time.
And you know what? That's okay to have on the team, but you do need someone like you said, like a Kike, or when Puig was on the team. You want someone who's a little bit wild, bro.
Exactly where I was going.
Yeah,
with
you want someone who's gonna be, have a little bit of fun, and
he's a hothead, man, but he's an energy guy, dude.
Yeah,
absolutely. You need an energy guy,
dude. When he used to lick the bat,
yeah,
that was the funniest shit.
Yeah,
man.
you just want to watch. It is
Exactly.
it's kind of like in basketball. It's like an enforcer. Every team needs a guy who's going to get in someone's face. You kind of need that with someone who's going to be a little bit flashy, a little bit fun, and Dodgers don't have it right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of injuries have kind of put the Dodgers behind.
Absolutely,
but I feel like they weren't really expecting to go too far this season because they want to try to save that dinero for
Shohei,
the Japanese fellow over across the freeway from them.
Yep.
All right, so that was Alexis Diaz and the Reds. We did kind of mention the 11-game winning streak a little bit. Now, a lot of times, like you would think, like, oh, the Reds won 11 games. It's not that big of a deal. They probably faced some weak teams, which they did, but they also faced St. Louis. They got 2 out of 3. They won. They swept KC, which
bad team, but yeah,
the Royals are a bad lineup. There's not a lot of guys really doing anything right there. They swept the Astros. Now that one was big for me because the Astros, coming off like a World Series win, and they're the champs, and then 3 against Colorado. So I 11-game winning streak is great. It's great for morale. It's eye candy, but the only team on here that I really see that they actually like that was a competitor was the Astros, and Astros actually haven't even been too great lately.
I was gonna say they've actually been underwhelming themselves as well. So it's nothing too crazy to call home about. But it is, it's still there's still major league teams that they're playing. So 11 games is tough, but you're 100% right. The competition isn't exactly what your resume is not that great. Yeah,
for somebody like the Reds though, it's kind of big.
Huge.
Because nobody saw them like being up there in first place.
Dude, every time I watch a game that's in Cincinnati, there are no fans.
Yeah.
This is going to put butts in the seats.
I was going to say that's about to change. All these young guys, that's about to change.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go see LA De La Cruz play.
I know.
When they come to Philly, I wouldn't mind going to a game. Hopefully he doesn't, get a routine day off the day that I go.
Right.
Let's see.
I'm down, brother.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm down, bro.
Carlo Baseball says Dodgers need Stroman. Stroman has been one of the best pitchers in baseball this season.
I love that. I would be awesome.
I still don't trust the guy.
I know.
I do not trust him. I saw what he did in the World Baseball Classic, last time. What was that? 2018, something like that. And I was hyped about Stroman, but he's so underwhelming. This season, is the outlier. Every other season before this, he's just kind of been a solid 3, maybe a number 4. Yeah. He's never really been a number 1,
Right.
But Dodgers do need Stroman.
He's a dog, bro.
He is a dog.
That's a dog, man.
Absolutely.
Maybe you need that to jumpstart, the pitching.
He brings some energy too.
He does. He's a crap talker. Yeah, he's gonna be fun. He would be fun for sure. And I think that is something I agree with Carlos. That's someone that the Dodgers would love to have.
Yeah.
Look at Carlos. That's just cool.
There's a lot of starting pitchers out there on that are really good that are on really bad teams.
Yeah.
And there could definitely be some buyers and sellers before the deadline. I feel like we're gonna have a very active trade market this season.
I think so too. It's fun.
I'm actually really excited about that.
Yep.
All right. Gavin Williams, prospect call up for the Guardians. So I picked him up in one of my leagues. I don't remember which one it was. It was a very underwhelming start if you just look at the overall
Yep.
stat line. But if you really dig deep, the only time he actually got in trouble was in the third inning.
That's it.
He allowed 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 home run. But
3-run
other than
bomb.
that, he had a walk in the first, a walk in the sixth, and every other inning that he pitched was it was amazing.
Yeah, he had some like 8 pitch. He had an 8-pitch inning or something, maybe 9, something like that. He had a couple quick innings. He looked like a guy who had some jitters and then made some adjustments. And
as he should.
Yeah, absolutely. He's especially you're one of the top prospects in baseball. Not only is it just like your debut, but you're known as one of the top prospects in baseball. So there's that pressure, and comes out there, and it's against the A's, so it's like, oh, you're supposed to do good, and blah blah blah. So I think he had some jitters, and
But the thing with the A's though is they've been on a crazy streak lately too.
Absolutely, they're a scrappy team. Like they're the kind of team where you're like, oh, we're gonna sweep or take 2 out of the 3, and then they end up punching you in the mouth, and you're like, ooh. What happened?
Out of nowhere, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a lot of their pitchers are actually doing pretty good too. JP Sears,
which that's someone I think trade deadline. He's going to be on a different team.
Definitely
going to be on a different team.
Especially if the announcement comes that the A's are for sure going to Las Vegas, they're going to want to trade away these pieces that could potentially give them a crazy all-star lineup. Come 2026, I think it's when they go to Vegas, because they still have 3 years left in Oakland at least. Unless Oakland finally decides that they're going to build a stadium for them, which I highly doubt that's going to happen.
I don't see it.
Look what happened to the Raiders, man.
Exactly.
They're out. But it's crazy.
All right, moving on to a couple things that we don't really have to talk about too much. I'll just go through it real quick. Bryce Harper hasn't had a home run since May 25th. Says he feels good and the power will come. That's to be seen, but he is batting .301 with an 16 OPS, 3 home runs and 5 stolen bases. So it is nice to see him still running.
Yeah, he's running.
He's producing. Points league, he's been a top producer, especially with his on-base skills. He doesn't strike out a lot. He gets on base a lot. So I like what I'm seeing from Bryce Harper, and just the fact that he says that the power is coming. I feel like he really believes that, and he's young enough where, you saw how fast he came back from Tommy John surgery. Who does that? No one does that except for Bryce.
You can tell, obviously I'm a Harper guy. You can tell watching his at bats that he's like, he is just right there on a bunch of these, it's pop-ups that are like a warning track, or he's just barely getting under it, and he's beating himself up. And I think he's gonna right the ship. And like I said, I'm a little biased, but I think he's gonna right the ship, and he's gonna he'll have like a solid couple weeks to get him back on track. And I think he'll be fine for sure. But dry spell for sure. And like you said, he came back early.
For fantasy owners, Bryce Harper is supposed to start playing first base
soon.
He's been throwing, he's been catching. So they said around the All-Star break, and I have Bryce Harper in my keeper league, in a different keeper league that I'm in, a categories keeper league, and I got him for super cheap. I got him for $26 in a budget of $360.
Nice.
So I am super hyped about that one.
Yep,
I'm probably not going to win this year, but it's only my second season within that league, so I'm really feeling good about it. Yep. Let's see. There's some buzz going on in the chat right now about some trades in the league. Jasper, what about Aaron Judge? So that actually brings me to my next player, Aaron Judge. Still no timetable for Aaron Judge's return, unfortunately, but he did recently have a platelet-rich injection, and the Yankees are optimistic that the procedure will speed up the healing process. He has been taking like I think they said some dry swings, just kind of like practice swings, and some very light baseball activities. So Aaron Judge probably going to be back in the next, I'd say, 2 weeks or so.
And you don't want to rush Judge as the Yankees. You don't want him to. You're already not going to win the division. You're not beating Tampa Bay. I think they're like almost 10 games back, but they're there in the wild card. Yeah. So why rush him back?
Especially with Rodon coming back.
Yeah.
That's going to be 15 more wins for them.
Yeah, they're not going to want to rush him back. have a
That's
setback.
it.
So,
It's funny. I kind of want to piggyback off of
thank you, Carlo.
the show that Carlos and Ernie Orange had, that they were talking about Judge and how that team can't function without Judge, man. And
Yeah, they
it
look bad.
showed. That's weird, man. Like one
Yeah.
player, and he's an outfielder, right?
Yeah,
He plays in the outfield. He just hits bombs,
it's the
you
presence,
know.
dude.
Exactly. That's exactly what it
Exactly,
is.
you
It's
know, and it's crazy how just one player can make such a big impact, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
on a pretty stacked team if you think
Yeah,
about it,
they
right?
should be. They should, all things considered, they should be
You
pretty
know,
good.
so I mean, and you know, I know Will always talks about being iffy about Judge and how he's very injury prone and everything, you know, and it's like, yo, like you hit it right on the head, man.
Yeah.
He's always hurt. It's fucking
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy,
he
man.
had the year he wasn't hurt was last year when he hit 62.
His rookie
Exactly.
year and
Rookie
then
year.
last year.
Yeah.
His
Yep.
rookie year and then his free agent year.
Yeah,
Are
Yeah.
the only
yeah.
2 years that
Crazy,
he's ever
bro.
been healthy the whole
Right.
season.
No, that's a
You
good
know?
point. Crazy.
So yeah, I really like Aaron Judge. He's given you first round
Production. Yeah.
production this season, which has been great, but it's just the injuries, man. It's concerning for me.
Yeah.
And you know,
They
I
start
love him
piling
when
up,
he's in the
man.
lineup, but who knows how long he'll be in the lineup. Like even this, like he ran into the wall and he got a little bit banged up, you know, but to be out this long, I
Yeah.
wonder if it's because his body is just so heavy running into
He's
the wall.
big, dude. He's a big guy. I
Maybe like a Tommy Edman that's 180 pounds. If he runs into the wall,
bounce
you
off a
know,
little bit.
You bounce.
exactly. But then he's fine. Then he goes off and steals 2 bases.
Literally.
Right. I think, you know, last thing for me on Judge is, you know, I know he's a great outfielder, but he's just got to be a DH, dude. Like
Yeah.
that bat is too valuable to be putting out there to potentially get hurt, especially because he's injury prone. If he was an Iron Man, you know, let him do his thing, but you know, he's injury prone. I feel like, you know, Yankees should try to get some outfielders that can play every day and just let him DH. I mean,
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize because he just hit free agency last year, but the dude's 32 years old.
yeah, he's a little older. Yeah, he got
ain't no
started
spring
late.
chicken.
No,
So
yeah.
it's a little bit scary.
Them bones and them joints are gonna start fucking
Breaking
hurting
down
more
even
shit,
more.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Especially running around in the outfield with that short porch. Imagine he just like runs into that wall and just falls into the stands, like right
Yeah.
behind him. You know,
Right.
I'm guaranteed it's gonna happen.
Possible. Yeah.
All right,
Great.
moving on. Dodgers president of operations Andrew Friedman has stated that they will be pursuing starting pitching before the trade deadline, as we just talked about. Rob Manfred being sued by 17 scouts for age discrimination. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. So most of the scouts have said that they're willing to change like the way that they do their scouting to get more into the sabermetrics and you know the underlying numbers of things, but apparently Rob Manfred doesn't think that they have what it takes to be major league scouts anymore. So you know, it's baseball news. It's not really fantasy news, but I feel like anytime that I get to talk shit about Rob Manfred, I'm gonna take it because I
Why
just
not?
don't like that guy.
Yeah.
Bro, you need to make like a little toilet flush sound, bro. Like, you know,
I need to get on it with
Carlos,
these,
you know how Carlos be doing that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
Paul Goldschmidt on the trade block. Cardinals are potentially going to be shopping him. Now, what teams could really use a first baseman? Now, the one team that comes to mind in my mind is exactly the
Phillies, bro.
jersey you got right behind you, because Rhys Hoskins out for the season, free agency next year.
Yeah.
How long does Paul Goldschmidt have on his contract? I don't even know how long.
I think it's one more year after this, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of someone else, but I think it's the rest of this year and then one more. But
Phillies are coming off of losing the World Series, you know, and it would be really nice to see the Phillies do more than just try to sign a player. You know, because they've done a lot of signings in the last few seasons with Harper, Real Muto,
Turner,
Schwarber, Castellanos, but
Trey Turner,
but we really haven't seen too many trades.
Yeah.
You know, and the trades that they did do, other than Real Muto, were very small.
Yeah.
You know, like trading for a guy like Gene Segura. who's not a game changer.
Brandon Marsh.
Right.
Brandon Marsh,
Marsh, yeah.
good outfielder, great
Yeah.
defender,
but not the big flashy trade.
he
Yeah.
has his hot streaks,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
everyone else does. But I really feel like the Phillies could really use a bolster to their lineup, and Goldschmidt could very well be the guy to do it.
Absolutely. The other team I was thinking of is, the Angels, if they aren't sellers, because they're only like a half game out of the wild card, and they want to go for it and try to keep Shohei there. I mean, who's their first baseman right now? And like, I don't know, man. I think I would hate to see Goldschmidt there, but that's something that I could see them. Those were the two teams I thought of, with Phillies and Angels, but I still think the Cardinals have aspirations to pull this together. They have enough players on their team to go on a run, and
they just don't really have the pitching.
Absolutely.
Wainwright's not the 2022 Wainwright that we saw. Jack Flaherty has been all over the place. He's had too many ups and downs. I'm done with Jack Flaherty.
Yeah.
And other than that, Michaelis, ground ball pitcher in the era that we're playing in now, and he's just been very underwhelming. I don't see the Cardinals going
that whole
anywhere
rotation
with the rotation that they have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ooh, Reds just took the lead.
The Reds, you said?
Yep.
I hope it was another Ellie De La Cruz bomb.
It was Votto.
Oh shit! I got him in my lineup too.
Fuck yeah! Go ahead, bomb.
All right. Players are asking for a pitch clock adjustment for next season, so it's definitely not going to happen mid-season. You can't be changing the rules mid-season, just like we don't change the rules mid
fantasy. Yeah.
Fantasy. But I did hear Christian Yelich saying that he wishes that it was just 20 seconds all the time. Right now it's 15 seconds with no runners on, and then 20 seconds with runners on. Whether they're in scoring position, whether it's just on first base, it doesn't matter. It's 20 seconds with runners on, and I'm kind of inclined to agree.
Yeah.
I feel like the game is it's nice that it's going by a little bit faster, but it's a little too fast I think for everyone's liking. And there's been some speculation that this is the reason why a lot of pitchers are getting hurt. Why a lot of pitchers are not doing as well as they have been in the past. There's not enough time to have a little bit of rest on the forearm, on the elbow, on the shoulder.
All of it,
yeah. So
and that all makes sense, bro. All of that makes sense, bro.
Well, what's the big deal about giving them 20 seconds? Even if you make it 20 and 25, I feel like before there were a lot of players that were on that like 30-second mark, or maybe even a little bit past it in previous seasons. So if you make it 25, that they definitely have to throw by 25, I feel like that's going to shed off a lot of time.
Yeah, you're still going to be saving a lot of time. I think it would be great for MLB to make that adjustment and to just see how it goes. I mean, if the end at the end of the season, the time of the game of all the games are going a lot longer than they wanted, then you can dial it back again if you need to. This is all, nothing's written in blood or whatever, like we changed it once, we can still make tweaks. That way, do it now instead of 5 years down the road when all of a sudden everyone's getting used to it, so I think it'd be good for the pitching.
I agree.
Ooh,
all right, so
Sandy.
Eli says, why is Sandy mid? I don't know what mid means. Do you know what he means by
like
that?
mid-level, bro.
Yeah.
Get with that
Mid-level?
shit. On,
like
not
this is the top.
not a top tier guy.
He's right here.
I definitely have in my head what I think is going on with Sandy Alcantara. But Javi, let's see. What do you got on Sandy Alcantara?
So I did do a little bit of research on this
Ooh,
guy.
here we go.
I had him last season, I think, on fantasy. He won the Cy Young, right? I don't want to say it's like a Cy Young hangover, but I noticed that he's walking a lot more batters now, which is kind of crazy. He was a strikeout machine last year, dude, and for whatever reason, he's just not finding the spots, man. Like, guys are not chasing his pitches. I feel like they've kind of figured him out a little bit. I looked at his pitching metrics, and nothing seems to be off as far as his pitching, his spin rates and all that stuff. It just seems like he's not finding his spots, man. And I mean, not only that, my, the Miami doesn't really have that good of an offense. So I was looking at all the games that he pitched in. He's 2-6, 5.08 ERA, right? In the games that he's won, they've only given him 16 runs, dude,
Yeah.
as opposed to 42 runs when he's lost. So it's like, you got this dude, he's a ground ball pitcher, right? And he's not finding his spots or whatever, but the offense has got to, they got to give him something to work with. You know what I mean? Come, always pitching from behind. You know, it's tough, man.
Right.
So I mean, I if fantasy relevant, I wouldn't worry yet. I think he still has a chance to turn it around. Um, I'm not really concerned because, like I said, like there's nothing wrong with his any of his pitching metrics, dude. Like the guy, he's still pitching like last year, right? But
Right.
I don't. I just feel like he needs a little bit of help, man. Like offensively. Um, I mean that's what I got, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I. s- I.
So
s- Oh. Oh. Okay. I
I
was.
believe you traded for
Yeah.
Sandy Alcantara.
I got Sandy. I feel hopeful for Sandy.
Let me
So
ask you a question real quick.
yeah.
Have you had in the past, few weeks that you've had him? Have you had your hand on that button,
The drop button,
almost dropping him?
absolutely not. No. Honestly, I benched him against Toronto, and I was jokingly saying I did it on accident. I was on the fence about doing it because I'm like, Toronto they got some hitters, and
Yeah, I know you didn't do it. I'm like, man, that's bullshit. Like, but he's been up and down. So I'm
yeah, he's
like,
been up and down.
yeah,
So I
I
kind
think he
of
left him on the bench for a
yeah,
reason.
I
Yeah.
was like, it's worth it. I left 8 points, is what it ended up being,
Mhm.
and that might come back to bite me. But I was also like, I don't want to. I don't want to have him in the lineup if it was it's a fat negative against a great team.
Mhm.
I took a deep dive also. I'm big on Sandy. So at the end of what I was gonna say is I would go try to buy Sandy right now.
Buy
For the
low.
people buy low. For the people in our league, don't worry guys. Don't send me trade offers. I'm not selling. I'm I'm high on him. His changeup is less efficient and he lives and dies by his changeup.
Yep.
But taking a deep dive into it, his arm angle and all that stuff is not like nothing's wrong. So I think he's gonna right the ship pretty soon. I did see that his exit velocity off of the changeup is like 5 miles per hour higher this season than it was last season. So they're hitting it harder. So
Yeah.
there's something that he's doing that's not the same. I don't know what it is. I mean, it could be just like the amount that he's trying to throw hard, like his effort into it. But since the changeup isn't there, then the rest of his other secondary pitches are kind of, I think that's where the walks are coming in too, because he's trying to force some of the other pitches as well. And like you said, he's a pitch to contact kind of pitcher, and I think part of what's hurting Sandy is I think I had, and I think Will did too. I had a little bit of a regression coming for Sandy coming into the season, and I think because of the shift restrictions, I figured some of those ground balls are gonna find the holes a little bit more. Kind of same thing with Julio Urias too, and I think that was gonna happen. And then along with that, his changeup isn't really hitting where it's supposed to be, so everything else is kind of going. But like I said, his velocity on his actual pitches is nothing's changed there. His arm angle is the same, so I just think it's going to be a little tweak, and he's going to come back and be fine. I mean, he's still throwing deep into games. He gives
Yep.
up 4 or 5 runs. He still throws 7 innings. He's so it's a little bit of that. I saw someone say somewhere, I don't even remember where, that they think that the pitch timer is getting to him as well. And I don't know and it's mostly with guys on base.
Mhm.
And with guys on base, obviously that's how you guys, they score. So it's new for a lot of people. Some people adjust quickly, some people adjust slowly. I think second half of the season he should come back and maybe not be Cy Young Sandy, but definitely better than what I think
More
he is
reliable.
now. Yeah.
So I read an article from a Marlins beat writer, and he kind of broke down like a little bit of a difference that I never noticed, but he was saying that last season, Sandy Alcantara's strand rate when he had runners on was in the high 70s and low 80s. This season, it's actually in like the 40s and 50s. So that's the biggest issue is he's letting runners get on base and they're scoring.
Yep.
Versus last year when he was letting runners get on base and they weren't scoring. He was getting out of the inning. And he did say that Sandy Alcantara had come out and said he's not trying to make any excuses, but he really does think that the pitch clock is the reason for his fuck ups.
Yeah,
which is that's my crude layman's terms. Not verbatim,
but, not verbatim.
Yeah, but honestly, we could be seeing like Jose Barrios a few seasons ago was a top fantasy ace. At the end of the season, he was a top 5, top 6 pitcher, something like that. And then the next year, he just shit the bed. He wasn't even top 50. And I feel like Sandy might need to reinvent his game
a little bit.
If this is like the way that baseball is going to stay with the pitch clock, with the shift restriction, it doesn't play into his style of game. And I feel like he needs to pitch more rather than just throw. He's a heavy sinker and changeup guy, which puts a lot of balls on the ground. But with that shift band, like you said, Kevmo, those hit the ground balls that used to go right to a defender. The Marlins don't have the greatest infield. They don't have guys like Carlos Correa that can move over 10 feet and make a 99-mile-an-hour throw to first base. Now they are major leaguers, so they're great at what they do.
Get it done.
Not elite. And with a ground ball pitcher, you need an elite infield, which is what we saw from Dallas Keuchel years ago, because he had Bregman and Correa and Altuve in the infield. That's the type of infield that you need for a ground ball pitcher. And I really think that Sandy Alcantara, at least for this season, is going to be, I wouldn't say not relevant, but I really don't think that he's worth holding on to. And in a points league, I guess it's fine to hang on to him, but in a categories league,
it's harder to
when
justify.
he makes your ERA and WHIP go way up because of those walks and because of those runs that he's allowing every single inning. It's
10 hits a game plus.
It's ridiculous. And it's like, dude, you pitch in a pitcher's ballpark. And you still can't get your shit together. It's very frustrating.
It is, for sure.
He's still young, man. He's still young.
He's still young, so he can figure it out. He can definitely figure it out. I just don't think that 2023 is the year that it's going to happen.
So you're a sell. You would sell if you had him.
I wouldn't even try to sell because I know I'm not going to get anything in return for him. I would wait until the All-Star break probably, and if he doesn't right the ship by then, he's getting dropped.
I would say
someone else's problem.
I would say for those managers who have him, hold on to him. If you can afford to put him on your bench, put him on your bench. Especially, next week is a 2-start week, and I think he's got some tough matchups. Put him on your bench if you feel like you can. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to start him because I think I need to to be able to get out of that week. But I might be having my finger a little closer to that button after next week, but I'm gonna be holding on. I'm with you. Hold on to those till after the All-Star break, maybe a couple starts, and see if he can right the ship. But
the All-Star break is soon, and we've seen Sandy Alcantara have, I want to say it was like 2 amazing ace starts this season. And everything else has either been mid, as
that's your new
as
word,
the homie said earlier.
That's it,
Or they've been terrible.
Underwhelming. Very bad.
Extremely bad. Like, guy needs to get sent down to AAA bad. Like we saw Alek Manoah get sent down, Hopefully Alek Manoah is, at their complex getting the reps in that he needs and learning what he needs to change on his game. Maybe Alcantara needs to do that too. Maybe the Marlins need to learn from Toronto and just do it. For like, why you if you're not able to fix them, the way that you're trying, let someone from the outside, try to fix him instead.
But
And
do
if it
you, but
doesn't
do
work,
you
then fuck.
but do you think that they would really do that? Like that's their ace. That's
Right.
their guy.
So
I
was
don't
Alex
know.
Manoah.
Well, they had
Uh,
Gosman and stuff, but I mean,
yeah,
I see
I
what you're saying. I think the hard thing too is that Miami is, they're, they're
I
not, they're right there in it still. So to kind of,
they're I feel like like with Manoa and the Blue Jays, they have pitching that they can kind of fall back on.
mhm.
Whereas the Marlins don't really. They have these young guys that are coming up,
Yeah,
right?
they
But
got some good
they don't
guys,
really
but
have. They can't really afford. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the
they don't
record
have a
is right now
Gosman.
at the
They don't
moment.
have a Gosman to
They don't.
fall back
Yeah,
on. They
they
don't
don't
have it.
have
Yeah,
like good pitching rotation to fall back on and say, all right, Sandy, go work out your
they
shit.
they know
You
that
know.
Yuri Perez is gonna have his limit, his cap
Yeah,
limit. They
exactly.
have. I mean, they don't. If Cueto was back and it's a veteran guy, I don't love Cueto, but if Cueto was there, consistently, and they have Rogers there consistently, maybe they would
Yeah,
say, all right, maybe we can let him
if
figure
they have
things
a
out. But
little
they
like
got
wiggle room, then
right. They
I
got
can
the
see
Braxton
it.
Garretts and guys that
Yeah.
they're like maybe a little too afraid to let their main guy take a step back, and now they're like,
Yeah.
oh, what do we do? So I see what you're saying though. I think he
Yeah.
does need. I think he needs the All-Star break. I think he needs the All-Star
Yeah.
break and
Yeah.
a little extra stretch of time
A
and
little
a
reset.
little reset.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Sometimes that's what a player needs, man.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to our next player breakdown, Corbin Burnes. Who wants to take this one?
Don't matter. I got a little bit on him, not a whole lot. He's kind of similar where he kind of lives and dies by his main pitch too, which for him is his cutter. And early in the season, man, it was just not good. It looked bad. He was I think his velo was down, and it was red flags. And I'm gonna be honest, you guys can tell being in the league with me, I'm a trade guy. I was sending offers and offers and offers because he's just got too much talent. I thought he was gonna right the ship, and honestly, it looks like he kind of did to me. The last 3 starts looked really good. He had a bad start. I think it was, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before, but and I think part of that was, he played the D-backs, and as weird as it is to say, the Diamondbacks they're a good
Pretty
team.
good.
They're
Yeah,
a
they're
good
pretty
team. I think I would say that Corbin Burnes, I think he did right the ship already. I think he had a little bit of velocity issues. I'm not sure exactly what it was, whether that was something with his mechanics or maybe it was the pitch clock and he adjusted quicker. It might be something like that. But I think he's right. If anyone's worried, if there's a Corbin Burnes owner out there who's worried after this last start, I would send offers. But again, I'm a trade guy, so I'm sending offers anyway.
What I noticed about Corbin Burnes is, now this is huge. His fly ball rate is up 27%
Oh,
from
dang.
last season.
That is huge, yeah.
27%. Why
That's
are
a
you
lot.
allowing the ball to go in the air that much?
Yeah.
He throws the sinker, and you would assume that it's going to be on the ground because, as the
sinker.
name implies, it sinks, it goes down. But this guy just haven't been able to put it together. Now, the velocity has dropped a little bit. It's down about a mile per hour on each one of his pitches. But 1 mile an hour difference is not going to make or break you.
Yeah.
I really feel like he is just not commanding the hard stuff like he was last season. The cutter, the sinker, it's not matching well with his changeup, with his curve and the slider. And he doesn't throw the slider that often, but when he does, it is nasty. Corbin Burnes is a flamethrower. He throws pretty hard, 95, 96. But he's also a pitcher. He has some great vertical movement on his curveball, great horizontal movement on his slider. The changeup has been nasty in the past. It's gotten him into a little bit of trouble last season. But for the most part, Corbin Burnes has been a high strikeout pitcher, and you can see on the screen right there, 86 Ks in 88 innings. He's just
That's
not
almost
getting
like
strikeouts.
bro. That's crazy.
There's got to be something wrong with this guy,
right?
Dude, I
something that we don't know.
I heard like in the off season they were having like contract talks, and he was not happy about any of that shit. So I don't know, like, because you saw at the start of the season he was horrible.
really
And
bad. Yeah,
maybe this shit kind of creeped up into his head, and it kind of messed with him or whatever. But like like Kevmo said, it looks like he's kind of making the adjustments now.
yeah,
So I mean, I was looking at these stats, dude. Like 2021, 12.61 case per nine, 2022, 1083, and then this year 722. That's like a big dip.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Huge.
maybe like Will said, like maybe there's something really wrong with him that we don't know about. But like like Kev said, like past 3 games have been pretty good. So maybe
Yeah.
he figured it out.
Yeah.
If
Hopefully,
if
because he's a
if you
great pitcher,
look,
dude.
if you're looking at batting average on each of his pitches, the cutter and the sinker are the ones that are getting hit the hardest. On his curve, he has a batting average against a 139, and on the changeup, it's 173. He doesn't throw the slider enough to really like,
No,
you know,
have a good metrics. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But on the sinker, he has a 267 batting average against, and on the cutter, it's a 240. And the expected batting average on both of those pitches is actually higher than the batting average against. So
right.
something's wrong with his hard stuff. Maybe
Yeah,
he's probably trying to throw it like high in the zone, which gets a lot of swings and misses. Especially the cutter. We saw
yeah,
that with Kenley Jansen. We saw that with Mariano Rivera.
yeah,
If you have an amazing cutter, it's gonna get you strikeouts. It's gonna
yeah,
get you some
Yep.
broken bats. But
Yep.
this season, I think he's maybe just is throwing the ball too much in the zone.
yeah.
He's living in the zone, and he needs to get a little bit out of there. Make it seem like you're going to throw the sinker a little high, but instead it's a cutter and it just runs away.
I think these top tier pitchers need to, like we've been kind of saying, is just like take a step back and make adjustments. And obviously, I know when we're biased, but like one of the best pitchers in recent years to have done that is Kershaw. Kershaw is he's not the same pitcher he was 6 years ago, but his production is basically the same because he realized he doesn't have the velo anymore, so he's got to
Yeah.
rely more on some of those other pitches. And maybe that's what some of these guys are. Maybe his cutter isn't finding the spot where it needs to be, so he needs to rely more on that slider, like you were saying, Will. And I think these guys need to take a page out of these great pitchers' books and make
See,
adjustments to adjust to the league.
That's the thing with guys like Sandy that throws a 97-mile-an-hour sinker and
Yeah.
Corbin that throws a 95-mile-an-hour sinker. They're relying too much on their hard stuff
Right.
instead of being a pitcher.
Yep.
Right.
There are some guys like Sandy that when they throw the sinker, they don't even have to try. It's just
Right.
very
It's
natural
just
to
there.
them.
Yeah.
But when you have a guy like Kershaw that you just mentioned, he's never been a flamethrower. I
Right.
believe he topped out at like 93, maybe 94
Yeah, I think
in
he
his
had like 5
prime.
or something. Yeah.
Now you see him throwing 90, sometimes even
91.
89.
Yeah.
But that 12-6 curveball
Right.
makes such a huge difference because he is a pitcher. He's not a
Right.
thrower.
Oh, I mean, he went more into that slider, and it's got the same
And he added
arm
the
angle,
changeup a few years
and he
ago.
added the changeup, and like those are things that like great pitchers do. I think yeah. I mean, we can go on and on about that, but it's just you have to make adjustments because the league's making adjustments to you, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we only have a couple minutes left, and that basically took all of our time. So if you guys have any to-start recommendations for next week, I'm not going to go over the whole list because we don't have any time, but if you actually have specific players that you would like to mention, Javi, do you have any specific players that you wanted to mention for next week's two starts?
Yeah. I got my boy Ranger Suarez.
Yes.
Started off pretty shitty after coming off the IL. He's got the Cubs and the Nationals, bro. And his last 5 games have been fucking fire. This dude,
He's
I
a
don't know,
stud.
man. Like, something clicked, bro. Something clicked.
Something clicks.
And I feel
5
like
for 5 in quality
he might
starts in
be
his
the
last 5 outings.
Yo, exactly. And I feel like he's the catalyst for the Phillies actually playing good baseball right now, dude.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
even Nola's been right? And then the rest of their pitching rotation hasn't really been that good. So this guy comes back and dude, 32 innings pitch. He's only won 1 game, right? He's 1-1, but like Will
Yeah.
said, 5 quality starts, bro. Like that's huge. Fantasy baseball wise, everybody wants your pitcher to get quality starts, man. Those are points.
Absolutely.
But overall, dude, the guy's pitching great, man. And he pitched gems against the Dodgers, the D-backs,
Mhm.
the Braves, and the Mets, dude. Like all these guys, all these teams, their offenses are, aside from maybe the D-backs, but we've talked about the D-backs. That nobody saw them,
No, they're
playing
good.
this good. But
Yeah,
you look at Dodgers, the Braves, the Mets, those are offenses that are holy shit, man.
they're
Like these
good
guys,
for sure.
even though, like Mets, they're
They're up
kind of
and down,
shitty,
but
but
yeah, they
but
got a good
but their
lineup.
their lineup is great.
Yeah,
And the fact that Ranger, he's been pitching deep into these games, yo, like that's if he's available, like what is he, 38%, I
that's
think,
insane. Yeah,
38%.
that's
right?
insane.
Dude, like pick him up.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
absolutely, absolutely.
Pick him up.
He's a pickup for sure.
He
He was.
he he should be rostered in at least 70% of leagues,
I
in my
agree.
opinion.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, I have.
I think every my bad.
No,
Just
you're
real
good.
quick. I think everybody was afraid because of those first three starts, and they're like,
Yes.
I'm not touching this
Yes.
guy,
Yep.
And coming off of injury.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's my guy right there. Like
Yeah.
if he's
He was
there,
he was
snap.
number one on my list. The other three I had is I have I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, but Julio Teheran. I mean,
Oh.
he's just ride the hot hand until he's
Yep.
not. The
I agree.
matchups are fine. They're good. I mean, I think the Mets is one of them, and I think the other one's like the Pirates. Ride it till you can't. I like Garrett Whitlock. He's got a tough matchup against Toronto in the second start, but he's got Miami to the first one, and he's been good. And then you guys know I'm a prospect guy. I got to go with Williams. He's got who does he have?
Miami and Toronto.
Okay. Oh no, that's Garrett. Yeah, Garrett Whitlock. But Gavin.
Yeah, Gavin Williams has Miami and Toronto.
Oh, he also has Miami and Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he had Chicago in the second one.
Unless this is a typo.
Yeah, he's got the Cubs on Sunday, and on Tuesday he pitches against the Royals. So I would roll with him too. Probably the last of the four would be the ones that I would go with, but for sure, Suarez is number one, and then I like Teheran and Whitlock.
I had one more.
Hit me. Let's hear it.
Reed Detmers.
Okay. Yeah.
The Angels. He's got the White Sox and the D-backs.
Yep.
But this dude is
if he's on, he's on. Yeah.
Dude, last few games, Dodgers, Texas, Cubs, 2 earned runs, 24 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Like that, for the Angels not being a pitcher heavy team, like, who's there after Shohei, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think they got Reed Detmers as like the 3 or 4. Like I think he's their legit number 2, dude. Honestly, the way he's been pitching.
He's streaky, and that's his issue. But I mean, same thing with Teheran. You don't know what you're gonna get, but if they're hot, ride it, dude. You gotta ride it until you can't.
And those matchups kind of work in his favor because they're both home games. So
sure thing. Yep. Absolutely.
I'm really glad you guys did not say Taj Bradley because I love Taj Bradley, and I would love to talk about this guy.
Absolutely.
So
I feel like he was a no-brainer, though. What is his roster rate?
It's still under 70.
That's insane too. But yes, I agree.
So Taj Bradley should be, in my opinion, he's at 60% right now in Yahoo. He needs to be closer to 90.
Yeah, 80 something for sure.
Taj Bradley, I feel like the Rays in the past, they've held back pitchers. You're only going to go 4 innings in this start. You're only going to go 5 innings in this start. Once you hit 80 pitches, we're going to take you out. But Taj Bradley has only had 1 start less than 5 innings. So
that's crazy.
More than likely, he's going to have a winning game if he can at least limit the runs to 3. Because the Rays, the lineup behind him is just incredible.
Yeah, he's going to get the
small
win.
ball that we were going to talk about. The Rays are big on small ball. They run, they get doubles. They just knock people over. They bunt, and it's just crazy to see the game that the Rays are playing, and it's actually working for them, dude.
Yeah.
Taj Bradley went undrafted. He was a prospect, so I'm sure, like in some keeper leagues, a lot of people had him, but. He's had 49 innings pitched so far, 71 strikeouts. That's almost 2 strikeouts per inning. That is fucking insane.
It's crazy.
For a rookie, a 22-year-old rookie at that. Only 15 walks in 49 innings. Now, when he got sent down to AAA, like a month and a half ago, he was terrible. His ERA in AAA skyrocketed above 10. I really, really think that the Rays sent him down to work on some things, and that's exactly what he did. He was working on some things, and he didn't care if he was going to get hit hard or not. He just had to work on what he was going to work on.
You wanted
And
to
he
figure
came
it out.
back,
Yep.
Yeah.
and he was dominant.
Dude, that's the way to go with these young guys. Like, the team's invested in you, and you've already showed you got good stuff. Work through the kinks, bro. Like, just work through the kinks, because they're not giving up on you when you're Taj Bradley. You know, like you're fine. Like, make the mistakes, because this is the time to do it.
Yep.
And he did, and he's a stud. Didn't he get like 9 outs, and like all 9 of them were strikeouts? Like last,
he had 9 outs in a row.
Yeah.
And I believe in the outing that he went the 4.1 innings, he had 11 strikeouts.
That's insane, dude.
11 strikeouts in 4 innings.
That's fucking crazy. He's a stud. I'm guessing you're keeping him, Will. But
oh yes.
Yeah.
Sure. We're only allowing 5 keepers this season, which is not a lot. But since we're adding 2 new teams next season, making it 12 instead of 10, I wanted to make it a little bit more fair for the new teams that come in. I didn't want to hog all the good players. You know, I'm probably not going to keep Mookie Betts, because Mookie Betts is a $48 player versus Austin Riley, who is having kind of a down season. But, you know, next year I have a lot of hope, and he's a little bit younger, and I got him for like 36.
Right.
You know?
The keeper aspect makes it so fun, dude. I'm so
for
glad
sure.
I was invited. I want to say thank you to that. It was so cool. I'm all about it for sure. This the keeper aspect is fun, and it's tough because I got a bunch of guys that I'm looking at, and I'm like, man, I want to keep all these guys, but like,
for real.
I only get 5 spots. Like,
I keep on looking at my lineup, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep that guy.
And then next week you're like,
what am I doing?
Bro, I got a running list, and like with the prices next to him, like in my notes, and I'm just like, I can't move him, but I gotta. Where do I put this guy? Like, how do I make it fit? It's fun. It's the best.
It's hard.
For sure.
All right. One final thing that I did want to mention about Taj Bradley is a quote from his catcher, Christian Betancourt from the Rays, called him a right-handed McClanahan. Now, if your catcher is comparing you to McClanahan, you got to be doing something right.
You're doing right. You're doing
you know
right,
what I mean?
For sure.
So
that's high praise right there. Shit.
For sure.
I believe that he is the future of the Rays, along with McClanahan, and the Rays know how to develop pitching.
Absolutely, always have.
Whatever they saw in his game that he needed to work on, they fixed it, and he came back, and he's here to stay. I believe.
I think so too.
That I don't think that he's going to have an innings limit, because they sent him down, and he wasn't part of the rotation at the beginning of the season. So I could see him throwing 140 innings this season. And hopefully he'll go, 6 innings more often than not. But we all know how the Rays play their game. So that is wishful thinking, but they let McClanahan go, you know. And if Christian Betancourt is right about this, and he really is like a younger right-handed McClanahan, then maybe let the kid throw 6-7 innings, you know. Hopefully
I think
for my sake, I got them in both my leagues actually.
So. Where they're at in the standings might make a difference too. If they got enough of a cushion, they might say, "Hey, we don't need you to go that deep. We'll let you go 4 or 5 and just pull you a little bit." You know, if for some reason it gets a little bit tighter in that race, then they might just be like, "We need you to do your thing, man. We need to lock up this first place." But they're gonna want them for the playoffs, because the Rays are gonna be there.
Yeah, as they are every season for the past 5 seasons.
Yeah. For sure.
So, all right, that does it for Real Talk Fantasy Baseball Friday's episode today. I am Will Power. This was Hobby the Commish and our special guest Kevmo. We appreciate you getting on, man. And just to reiterate, we're gonna take you down pretty soon.
Thanks for having me, and good luck to you guys, because I'm coming.
You. And yes, here's hoping for a great fantasy baseball season.
Yeah, let's keep it up, boys. I love it.
I'm Will Power for Real Talk Fantasy Baseball, signing out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later, guys.
Later.